Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of The Other Side of Addiction. I'm your host, Al Richards, and we are here with Jimmy Lane, and we are actually going to talk about success is sometimes the outcome of a whole string of failures. And I really, really like that topic. And we're going to get into it here pretty heavy. But Jimmy, thank you for your time. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm blessed to be here. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And we are joined here with the lovely Mel. So Mel, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
As always, it's, and I say this every time you're on the show, but it really is. It's a pleasure having you here with us.
Thank you.
Yeah. Always enjoy having you in the studio. And it gives me someone really pretty to look at other than Mason. So, and Mason's in the background. He's doing, he's running the switchboards and everything like that. So anyway, he's over there cracking up. Gosh, Jimmy, you reached out to me on social media, right?
Yeah, I did. I'd followed you, and it's just something set different with a lot of the other ones. And it's I reached out to you. It's been what? I'm going to say 4 or 5 months ago, maybe 6 months.
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah, and you've had a lot going on in your life, and things. We like to say, hey, things happen in God's timing, and it just happened to be the right time. And now here you are. You're on the show.
Yep. Actually, if you remember, I was kind of just. I think I told you I'd moved back to Michigan, and and I was kind of just struggling a little bit with, I guess, a lot of fears, a lot of stuff was coming up, and I reached out to you and was just talking to you, and you said some really, things that were really insightful. And then we just kind of led from there into, if you want to get on the show, and here we are. So. Yeah,
I love it again. And thank you. Thank you so much for your time. And we always appreciate our guests. And we've had the honor of, interviewing people from all over. Matter of fact, about 2 weeks ago, I was on, doing a text message, through Messenger on Facebook, meeting with somebody from Kenya who wants to come on the show. So we've had interviewed people from Canada, the UK, now possibly Kenya. So it's really cool to be a part of all this.
Yeah.
Cool. So tell us a little bit more about yourself. You were just getting ready to get into it right as we were getting ready to start the show. And I interrupted you because I didn't want to miss this.
Yeah. And it kind of jumps to the end of it, of where I'm at now. But, my addiction was, I guess I'll go back to that. I was adopted at a young age. I was about 7 years old when I got adopted. And through life, from then on, my life was, it was tough, but I was really good. I'll tell you what, Al, I was a professional at, putting on this mask and becoming this person, whoever I had to be. I was dying inside a lot of the times, but I was good at not showing it ever. If you looked at me on the outside, especially later in life, I had an awesome job. I worked for the union. Life was great. But inside there was always just that something missing. And then the addiction happened, and I fell. You guys can probably relate to it, but there was just a lot of, lost. I didn't know who I was. And I'll get into that in a little bit. But so I ended up going to an addiction treatment center in South Carolina. And I'll be honest with you, when I first went, it was not at all to get clean. That was not my idea. My idea was, okay, I'm going to be able to win a little bit of credit back with people that were close to me, because everybody had pretty much cut their ties, burnt their bridge, you do you, just kind of had washed their hands of me. And so me going to the rehab, which was my first time, it was just a grasp of like, this will win it back. I'll be able to get back to, having them enable me and the support for my addiction. And when I got there, I hated it. I just couldn't wait to get out of there. I remember going into the counselor. I remember going into the counselor, coming up with every kind of little lie I could to try to get on the phone during my little blackout period. And I'm like, I'm telling them lies. My grandma's sick, or what? It was just, that addiction mindset was still so, running rampant them first 2 weeks. And then, it just kind of, there was a turning point there. And this was an AA based treatment center. And I struggle with the AA. I love the foundation, the people, the brotherhood of it. I love that. But for me, I believe differently. I don't believe that the addiction is a disease, to be honest with you. And a lot of people, frowned at me upon that and saying that, but that's just something I've always, struggled with, believing that it was a disease. So anyways, I went through it. I loved it. It changed my life. I just, the rebuilding myself was huge. And I was getting close to the end of it, coming out of it. And I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And I sat there one day thinking, and I'm like, you know what? We don't have this. I was thinking back to when I first went into treatment. I didn't have any money. I'd spent all my money. I was broke. I was living on my dad's couch. The wife had left. I'd lost my house. It had burnt down. I mean, I didn't have anything. I had warrants for child support and misdemeanors and all kinds of, just, tedious little things that were causing through addiction. So I didn't have no money. I didn't have any support. My dad, he's an addict, and he loves me, but his addiction is really got him by a hold too. So I had him to support me, I guess you could say, in a way. I'd call rehabs, and it was a task to find a rehab. They wanted me to go and get state insurance, which could take a couple of weeks. They wanted me to do this. They wanted me to do that. I couldn't find it in Michigan. That's what sent me to South Carolina. And that little part of it was huge for me. So when I got done and moved back to Michigan and formed the New Directions, the whole base of it was, you don't have to have insurance. There's no insurance. There's of course fees and stuff that come with it, but it's done through a foundation and other members in the community. It's kind of like the Heron. Have you ever heard of the Heron Project? I don't know if you're familiar with.
No, haven't.
It's a big it's a big group of individuals that, if you need treatment, they'll pay for your initial fee. So they
Wow.
Yeah. So when I got there, I got on a bus with $150 ticket, which I scrounged up, and went down there with absolutely no money. I didn't have anything to my name. I didn't have any clothes. I didn't have nothing. And I went there and they opened me. They did not one time mention anything about money. They squared it all away with the Heron Project. And then as I progressed into the program, I got employed and was able to, make my fees and pay my fees later and, weekly. And it worked out. But so that stuck in my head, that kind of treatment. And I brought that back to Michigan. It's a nonprofit and it's been a task, and we're just now getting ready to, we've got about 60 days before we open the doors. But it'll hold 70 people. There's no insurance needed. You just call and we do a little questionnaire and we go from there. So,
Jimmy, I think what you're doing is incredible. And the reason why I say that, so we do a lot of work with a facility that's here in Salt Lake City called the Other Side Academy. It's based off of the method of Delancey Street. Have you heard of Delancey Street? That's in California. So the executive director, his name's Dave DeRocher. Awesome dude. I mean, Dave is, I love Dave like a brother. And they help a lot of people who are getting ready to be sentenced to prison, because of drug and alcohol use. And their program's based off the same way. They're not state funded. They're not federal funded. They're not insurance funded. They have, I think they have 3 thrift stores now. They have the Other Side Movers, which is the #1 moving company here in the Salt Lake Valley. They have a construction outfit that they go around and do a lot of home improvements and different things like that. And of course, you have to be accepted into this program. If you really want help, you go in and you sit down on this bench, and you could sit on that bench for 4, 5, 6 hours. But if you stay there, they know you're serious about wanting help. And I have become really good friends with a lot of people from the Other Side Academy, just phenomenal individuals. And I really love their whole concept because Dave DeRocher, which brought to my attention when we were interviewing him, you know, who determines how long someone stays in a recovery center? It's not you. It's not your parents or your family members. It's the insurance companies. There's no way you could stay there for 30, 60, 90. My wife stayed 6 months. It wasn't enough. No. And it's just because they don't want to pay the money anymore. It's not that they run out of money. It's just that they choose not to pay any more money. So basically, we're putting someone like yourself who wants to get well and possibly your life of saving your life, we're putting it in the hands of an insurance company. And Dave is also a big believer too, that it's not a disease. We had a guest on our live show yesterday, Candace Platter, who is out of Canada, and she doesn't believe it's a disease. She has Crohn's disease. She goes, I know what it's like having a disease. My alcohol and drug abuse, my opioid abuse, that wasn't a disease. That was a choice that I was making, So I really, really do like to hear that what you're doing, you don't have to have that insurance, because I've talked to a few people that wanted to get in recovery for a long time and had no means of doing it because they didn't have the funds, or the insurance.
Yeah. And that's where I struggle. One thing that stood out to me at the end of it was, the insurance, I'm looking at it as, if I was in a business with insurance, if I was to be running a business like that, why would you, if they're getting $30,000, if an addiction center is getting $30,000 or, more for 1 month, for 30 days for someone to go to a treatment center, do you really, they're going to come back. I mean, the rate for someone to come back to treatment is unreal,
Yeah.
So why are they going to, for them, it's like, they'll be back, I'll get another $30,000. And I hate to say that, but I mean, you get these insurance companies and they're really not, their concerns, not whether or not you're getting, better. Their concerns, we're paying, or I mean, I'm sorry, the addiction centers that take the medical insurance, you're just another dollar, I feel like, and and I don't mean to bash on them all, because some of it's necessary, a lot of it's necessary.
Yeah.
But for me, the thing that stood out different was, I don't know if you ever heard of a Gabor Mate.
It doesn't sound familiar.
He kind of helped me form my whole thoughts on that. And he's big on, everything stems from, childhood trauma. And I strongly believe that just the trauma that I endured, the life that I lived, and coming into that, I believe that's the number one leading cause for addiction. In any way, a lot of any kind of mental illness is from childhood trauma.
Yeah.
You have to check him out. Yep, Gabor Mate. He's real big. He's from Canada, so that's and he explained to me, that's where I got my idea of that addiction's not a disease. It's something, you're filling a void, and it for me, when I set it into my own perspective, from the time I was 0 to 6, my parents were full blown, alcoholics, addicts. I had a lot of abandonment issues. And later, and I didn't know that. You don't remember from the time you're 0 to 6. At least I didn't. And that trauma that was embedded, I didn't remember that. So later, years later, it starts to come out, and I don't know. I'm start to being labeled that I'm this bad kid. I'm getting in trouble. I'm doing drugs. I'm going down this road, and it formed an identity that I was just like this bad kid. I'm this bad person. It was never addressed to go to trauma, or, never, I just kind of became this person, and inside I felt like I wasn't that person. It was just a constant battle back and forth. And I got into some trauma therapy there at the Oaks, and it's really opened my eyes on it. And it's not everybody's path. Some people, their addiction's a lot different.
Yeah.
But for me, it was definitely the trauma related, and at New Directions, we're going to offer that trauma therapy, getting assessed, and hopefully it's tricky when you get into that, but I have some pretty good people, psychiatrists that was actually, she's been a blessing in my life. Bobby Hill, she's a psychiatrist out here in Michigan. She does the trauma therapy, and she does free for the people in Richland and around the area where I live. And she's agreed to kind of, embed that into the new directions.
Wow, that's cool.
At no cost. And so it's nice. It is. It's we're getting there.
And again, I'm agreeing with you when it comes to the trauma, and I'm just throwing this out here. I'm guessing, but what, you were probably between ages 11 and probably 14 when you started getting into the drugs and alcohol, because it seems like the majority of our guests started around that puberty time. That's when things kind of started changing, and they realized later in the years in their recovery that there was some kind of trauma. Some knew what the trauma was, others didn't. My wife had different things that was going on with her. And then when she was in one of the recovery centers, they actually got out that she was probably sexually assaulted when she was a young girl. So that was something that was buried quite deep. And, when she got into her addiction, that was something she was just trying to numb and hide away, not even realizing it. And we've said quite a few times on the show, and a lot of our guests, that, it's not the drugs and the alcohol or the porn or the eating or the gambling. That's just the Band-Aid, and
Yep.
figuring out what's going on inside here. That's where the real problem is. Because if you can figure out what's going on inside here, then it helps. Not saying it's easy, because it's not, but it does make it a little bit better to know which direction you need to go from there.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because I've always said my favorite quote actually was, the alcohol or the drugs are just but a mere symptom of what's really going on.
Yeah.
I believe that through and through. But to answer your question, I when I got adopted at age 6, I didn't see my parents again until I was probably 14 or 15. My biological parents, they had come back into my life, and that's really when it started. I was allowed to go see them and spend time with them, and they were clean at the time, but they were trying to be more of a friends than they were parents. They were trying to make up for lost time. They were trying to, not have that authority. Years later, they'd let me smoke pot and have girls over and drink. My mom would buy alcohol, and it was just, that's really when it kicked off for me. And it was weird, because I associated that using and that getting drunk and getting high as some kind of connection with my parents in a weird way. I had that connection because it was like, they let me do it and this is cool. And it's like, so I formed this weird bond that I hadn't had with them for years, ever, that I'd recalled. And I think that played a lot into it. But yeah, it was about 14, 15 when I really started using, and I didn't think I had a problem then. I just thought I was, being cool. And
Yeah. Well, when it's also around you like that, you just think it's part of life. You just think that's kind of how it goes. I mean,
That's how it was for me.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My whole family did it. So
Yeah.
I already knew that I was.
Yeah.
it was like you were grandfathered in, huh?
Yeah, definitely. Cigarettes and drinking. I remember I remember taking my first drag at the age of 9, but that's all I knew.
Yeah.
When you grow up, you drink and smoke.
Yeah, it's kind of like we had a guest on from the Other Side Academy. His name is Robert. Well, his name is Robert. And, he grew up in the gang life in LA, and he remembers doing drugs and drinking with his parents, age 6, 7 years old, and he just thought that's what all families did. He just thought that was the life, and in and out of prison. And, if you went to prison, then you were a man, and, you were the shit. And, there were going to be people that were going to help you and back you. And, and you're going to get in prison. You're going to be the main guy that everybody fears. And because this is how you're supposed to do it. And, it took him some time to realize that, well, he was getting ready to be sentenced to quite a few more years in prison, and happened to go to Delancey Street. And they started opening his eyes, and he started realizing oh man, everybody's family's not like this. There's
Yeah.
actually something different out there. And, and now he actually manages one of their thrift stores here, and he's just a phenomenal guy, man. I just loved having him on the show. And yeah, it's crazy. And that's something that's one of our missions here on the other side of addiction podcast is to get rid of that stigma. We talk about stigma all the time. And I don't think the majority of society doesn't realize that addiction, it doesn't discriminate. You can come from a rich family, poor family, middle class. Doesn't matter what religion you are. Doesn't matter what color your skin is. There's so many things behind it. And I've shared many times, Jimmy, that I'm just as guilty. I'd go downtown Salt Lake City and see the drug addicts and alcoholics down there, and I'd make my comments. Why don't they get their effing shit together and give back to society? Now, after watching my wife go through it, my wife just lost her third job because of her background check. I don't know why they don't do background checks anymore before they hire you, but apparently they put you through training. This is the third job she's gone through training. They hire her and she's there between a week to 7 days. Her background check comes back. One of the things that she has is an assault on an officer. They took her to jail and she was drunk, stepped on one of the officer's toes and fell backwards, and they fell into the wall, and they charged her with an assault on an officer. And they frown on that big time. And she just lost her third job. Worked a day and a half. That's it. And it really, it's hard for her because I see the look in her eyes that she's starting to get that feeling like she's a failure again, that she's a nobody, and that's what puts a lot of people in the addiction world in the first place. So society wants them to get off the damn streets and do something with their lives. And you get people like yourselves and a lot of our other guests who go out there and go, okay, I'm changing my life. I'm sick of the way that life is. I'm going to make a change. And they go out there and they start working their ass off to make a change. And then society doesn't give them the opportunity to make the change. So it's this whole vicious cycle. And we're hoping that through this show and having guests like yourself come on, that people will start getting a little bit a better understanding. I will never understand addiction fully. I did my stuff on a Friday and Saturday, and then it was more like a little 2-day weekend thing for me. My wife it got to where it was every single day. Get as wasted and effed up as she possibly could, to where she couldn't even stand up. And it's just, I don't know, man. It's just, I won't ever understand addiction fully because I've not walked in those shoes. And I never will. Even doing this podcast, I will never understand it fully. However, I've got more ammunition in my belt than I had before, and a better understanding. And I don't know if it makes me more sincere. It probably does. And it makes me want to open my arms up a little wider, to say, man, we love you. Because I tell you what, some of these people that we've had on our show, Jimmy, and probably if you and I met in person, and I'm just telling by your demeanor right now, man, I'd rather hang out with someone like you and a lot of our guests than other people. Honestly, I would. And it's what's that?
Just a bit of I can relate, because that that authenticity that addicts have that they gain is just, it's a lot of people don't have it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we tease sometimes here, this is therapy Thursday for us, and it's because we get to learn so much, and we've had, oh my gosh, so many amazing guests.
Well, I like that, just, I don't know, addiction along with life transformations, it all goes hand in hand. Just like Al, I've gone through my stints, and it didn't take rehab for me to get out of it, thank goodness, but it's like, I'm still bettering my life in every way I can. And I find that just the path ends up aligning a lot with addiction recovery. It's finding the better part of something more powerful than yourself, and just believing.
Yeah. Connecting on a spiritual basis is big, whatever that may be for, however anybody looks at it. But for me, a big part of it was just connecting that spiritual base and you know, having that inner knowledge of who you really are, being able to connect with who you are is if I wouldn't have had that, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And not to say, like, going back to your stigma thing, I mean, I'll tell you, when I left South Carolina, everybody there was telling me, don't go back. Don't go back. That's a bad choice. Don't go back. Don't do that. And I did. And it was, that's why I kind of feel for your wife too, because coming back clean and sober and mentally and emotionally where I wanted to be, I come back to a place where nobody knew me as that. Everybody knew who I was before. I come right back to the same wreckage. And it was all new, and it gets defeating, you know, at times. It really does. It gets defeating. I've ran into a bunch of roads with this new directions. I've ran into a bunch of roadblocks. I ran into people's opinions and a lot of outside people I've, you know, done wrong, or people that knew me as who this was. They would get on and be like, oh, this is but you know, this blah blah. They had their opinion to say, because there was still that hurt. There was still that opinion of that image of who I was and not who I am. And sometimes to be able to shut that off and just continue to do what you got to do, it's hard. But
it's,
you know,
it's not just the drug habit, it's the physical habit of being with these people or in this area of town. I am used to doing that, so it's completely stripping everything of who you used to be and trying to create a new person in the same area. I mean, I've done it just even when I had quit smoking cigarettes. I mean, even that was hard, being with the same friends, doing the same routine. You know, they all would go out to smoke and I'd go with them because that's what we did. But it's like I'd be standing there just like, you
Chewing your
know,
nails.
trying to move forward. But, you know, I decided that it was time that I created different habits. And so I made new friends.
Yeah. And you know, I'm there too. I don't have too many friends, but I do have a good, you know, all I need is a good couple solid friends that are, you know, that I can trust, and that's all that matters. You know, the smoking thing though, what got it for me, just speak on that real quick, was I could not stand the way cigarettes smell anymore. I'd quit smoking, and then I get around them and I'm like, oh, my clothes, it smells like it for days. And that helped a lot. But so I wouldn't be out there standing cold next to them nowadays, but
no, like, you can go do your thing. I'll be right here.
yeah.
You know, and it's okay, I think, too, Jimmy, as I mean, I know a ton of people, a lot of people through all the years of networking and that. And I had a friend of mine a long time ago tell me, he's like, I have a ton of friends, hundreds of them.
Yep.
But he says, my really, really good true friends, he says, I can probably count all of them on one hand.
Okay.
And he goes, and really, that's all you need, you know? And it's, those are the people that, you know, that if you're going through a tough time, that you can call and they're going to be there to listen to you.
Yeah.
You know, and so.
And I think a lot, I still have some of them friends that even during my addiction, that are still them friends, actually, believe it or not. The only issue was before is when I was in my addiction, I didn't want to call them because they were too damn upfront with me. They were being blunt, and I didn't want to hear about it. I didn't want to hear it. So, you know, I was the one that avoided that and created that distance between us. And, you know, coming out the other side, it's been good to reconnect and rebuild those relationships. And, you know, I didn't want to hear about how much of a dumbass I was or how much I was doing this or that. So I would just ignore it.
You already knew that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why you didn't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they would. So, you know, it was just distance I created. And it's glad to be able to, you know, rebuild that. And there's relationships. I was just actually, I posted about this the other day, and coming to the understanding, like there's relationships and that won't ever be rebuilt. And that's okay, you know?
Yeah.
And it's hard to accept sometimes, that, you know, that may never happen, but the ones that matter will. And, you know,
And the ones that matter won't, or the ones that don't matter won't.
Yeah.
How do you
something
say
like
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's the truth. So and it's hard to decipher that sometimes. But it's the truth.
So, question for you: what are some of the hurdles and stuff that you went through
Hmm.
during your addiction? I mean, gosh, we've had guests come on that got involved with the gangs and have been raped and stabbed and shot, and I mean, overdose and eaten out of dumpsters and sleeping on the. I mean,
Yeah.
are those some of the same hurdles that you went through?
Oh man, I'll tell you when I kind of noticed it for me, Al, was I was dating my high school sweetheart, I guess. We had got an apartment, and I went to the bar one night, and this was in 2011, and I left the bar. The police went to pull me over. They turned the lights on, and remind you, I got a legal car, legal license. There's no reason for me to not pull over, but I didn't. I take off and run in. They sent me to 2.5 years in prison for that.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. And even then there was still some denial. Like, I'm not an addict. That was a dumb decision. Damn it, Jimmy, why are you making them decisions? And when I got out, things were great. We had bought a house. We were, getting ready to get married. Just had a kid. Life was great. So I thought, and I was working. I had a great job. And there was always just that missing something. Well, I started using methamphetamines, which was my dad's drug of choice, and that was in 2016. I started using, and within 2 years, Al, I lost my house. It was an old country song, I'll tell you, because it was I lost my house, the car, she left. And it was just a dark road. I don't even know. I do know it was I don't know who I was then. I was running from myself. I was running from, a bunch of shame and guilt, and it just continued to build up inside. And I just kept continuing to try to mask it and run from it, and creating all these problems, and in and out of jail. And I lied to everybody around me. And it caused so much damage with my kids, and it's crazy. I just went on a trip, actually, but if you would have known back in 2000,
Have you ever been in a car accident? Do you know what to do after being in a car accident? Are the insurance companies going to take care of you? Hi, I'm attorney Rick Heaton with the Law Office of Bobby Udall. I will help you through the process and answer all of these questions. I give every single client my cell phone so they can talk to me whenever they need. Let me deal with the insurance company so you can focus on getting better from your injuries. Call me at 385-330-0226. Again, my cell phone number, 385-330-0226. Don't call the insurance company first. Call attorney Rick Heaton at 385-330-0226.
Hello, my friends. This is Brad Neufeld, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the Resilience Talk Network. You can listen to my show, Resilience, every morning, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. On my show, we will be discussing what it takes for you to overcome the day-to-day challenges that all of us face in life, as well as some of the devastating ones that may lead us to feelings of hopelessness and despair. It's my goal to provide you with the tools and skills that you need to overcome anything that is thrown your way. To find out more about my show, visit our website at www.resiliencetalk.com. That's www.resiliencetalk.com. And as always, until we meet again, go for everything that you want in life and make it happen.
Good morning, this is Leticia with Computer Hospital. We are your computer repair experts for both PC and Mac. We are your community resource for all of your computer repair needs. What makes us different is that we want to fix your computer. We also do free diagnostics. We charge a flat rate labor, which means that you won't pay by the hour. All of our computer repair is done in-house with a fast turnaround time, and same-day service is also available. Feel free to stop by anytime without an appointment. We're located in Sandy at 8721 South State Street. Again, that's 8721 South State Street, or call us at 801-987-3993. Again, that's 801-987-3993. This is Leticia with Computer Hospital, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Hello there, this is Brad Neufeld with the Resilience Talk Network, and I would like to introduce to you Taffytown, one of our newest sponsors. Let me introduce you to Derek.
Hi, I'm Derek from Taffytown. We're proud sponsors of the Other Side of Addiction podcast. Taffytown is a family-owned and operated business still operating in the Salt Lake City area for over 100 years. We manufacture some of America's best saltwater taffy.
What makes Taffytown stand out from all of the others?
We have a unique recipe, a whipped-style recipe that incorporates egg whites, evaporated milk, real sea salt. It's a unique product that is flavorful, melts in your mouth, and the best part is we probably have a flavor for anyone's liking, a flavor for any reason, for any season. We have unique flavors like chicken and waffles, maple bacon, frosted cupcake. New this year was a pineapple ghost pepper flavor.
That's awesome. Where can people find out more about Taffytown and all of its products?
You can check all of this stuff out. All of our products are available for sale on taffytown.com. We ship for free from our website, so all of our pricing on there is shipping included. Oftentimes we offer special promotions and discounts to our loyal customers, so do be sure to sign up for an account. And we look forward to seeing what we can do to make you smile with our taffy.
Where are you located?
We are currently located at 9813 South Prosperity Road in West Jordan, Utah, just at the foothills of the Copper Canyon mine.
Derek, taffy has always been a great gift to give. What are some of the creative ways Taffytown can help say thank you to others?
Yeah, if you're looking for gift ideas, whether to say thank you to friends or family, or maybe to your clients after such a difficult or successful year that you've had, you could look no further than to get a gift idea from taffytown.com. We offer pre-packaged gift boxes that say that it's saltwater taffy from the city of the Great Salt Lake, and it tells a little bit about the history of our community and making candy for so long. You can also do customized gifts to pick out just the right flavors or colors of candy for that special someone and deliver even a personalized message in that box to them. So please feel free to check out taffytown.com for any gift ideas this season.
Thank you so much, Derek. Please visit taffytown.com, that's taffytown.com, to find out more about the products and services that Taffytown offers. You won't be disappointed.
Do you know someone who's gambling with death due to an addiction? Do you know someone whose life is being turned upside down due to a loved one that's battling with addiction? Hi, I'm Al Richards. I am the host of the Other Side of Addiction podcast. I started the podcast due to my wife's battle with alcohol. Let's just say I became addicted to her addiction. Our podcast is helping people understand a little more about those who have battled addiction and those who are hurting from their addiction. Through raw vulnerability, we share stories that help uncover the root causes of addiction. Shame felt on both sides, matter of the conscious and subconscious mind, continued beliefs, and often confusing paths of recovery. We collaborate with real people and their stories, as well as licensed professionals, to help our audience gain a better understanding of addiction. You can find us on Resilience Talk Network. You can also find us on Facebook at Mr. Al Richards. That's Facebook at Mr. Al Richards. You can also find us on YouTube. Just look up the Other Side of Addiction podcast.
We just want some real
Hey everyone, welcome back to The Other Side of Addiction. We're here with our special guest, Jimmy Lane, and our co-host, Mel. So guys, thank you so much for your time and for being here with us. Greatly appreciate it. Jimmy was getting a phone call right before we stopped for break, and he was just sharing that his daughter just got a bunch of honors and stuff at school. So congrats. That is really cool. That makes you feel good as a parent, right? When you hear something like that.
It does.
That's what I was thinking too. Like, I don't know, you should feel like you're doing something right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just for me, it's not, I know she's capable of that. For me, it's just getting the phone call. Cause there was a time through my addiction where, I mean, I was, had restraining orders against, it wasn't even allowed to be around them. It wasn't even, went months and months without talking to them. Definitely, like you had mentioned the other day about the trip that I took with them just recently up there to Boyne Mountain, and that would have never happened,
Yeah.
So things, man, it does, being able to, for her to feel like she can call me and she wants to share that news with me, that says it all for me. So,
and I just kind of want to touch on that. There was many, many times when my wife told me in the depths of her addiction, she's like, my life's over. My life's over. I don't know where we're at. My family doesn't want to talk to me. I haven't seen the grandkids in 4 years. I'll never see them again. And I can understand why she was thinking that way, because, she was basically shoved under the rug. And it's so cool to see now where life is at right now. Other than her having a hard time finding a job, she gets to see the grandkids again. She's gotten some of the relationships back with family, and she's actually met some really nice friends, friends that she knows that are there for a good reason,
She's also gained self-confidence that she hasn't had in a very long time.
Huge. Thanks for bringing that up, Mel. Because that is true. So yeah, it's really cool that you do get to have that relationship. Now, the pictures that I saw of you and your family on Facebook. So basically your wife has stood by you this whole time and you guys are still going?
No.
Okay.
We can actually touch on that a little bit. She, I put her through hell, Al. I really did. And we were never married. We were about to, but
okay.
She stuck through me for, through prison and all this other stuff. But I there was so much damage caused that just wasn't, it wasn't a possibility. And I didn't really know that until just recently, when I had came back from South Carolina. Actually, when I first come back initially, we were under agreement that we're going to try this, I'm sober. This is how it's going to be. We're going to move forward together. And it just didn't work. It's just not there. And that's what I was saying earlier. Some of the relationships will never be rebuilt, and it hurts. It's sad to see. But as long as we can keep moving forward as parents, and that's the biggest thing for me. I'm allowed to spend time with the kids, and she's great. She's an awesome person. And I don't have anything bad to say about her, but I that's why I kind of condone you and your wife going through it and making it through the other side. That's huge. Cause there's a lot of stuff behind closed doors that people just don't see. A lot of emotional things that people don't understand. And, sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. So,
yeah. It's a tough road for both parties. Yeah. It's not easy. That's for sure. And I don't know if you've ever heard me say this on any of our shows, and one of my buddies told me once that I was addicted to her addiction, and he nailed it. He was 100% right. And I was so caught up into that web in 2019. I was coming home from a networking group, and I'd made my mind up, man. I was going to go home and get my 9mm and go up to the mountains here at the Wasatch Front, and I was done. I didn't want to come home to what I was coming home to, which is kind of crazy to think, because she's my spouse. I've kicked her out many times, and she'd always come back, or basically I would let her back in, It's really on my field, not hers, because I would allow it to happen over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's hard when you care about someone.
Yeah.
It's really tough. And I just can't even imagine being a parent of a child that goes through, because it is so much harder, and again, I can't say I know what you're going through, because maybe a little bit, because I'm on the other side, but not 100%, because it's a little harder to throw your hands up and give up on your kids than it is a spouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been there, Al. I mean, I've been that, speaking of, I'm going to go just end this and get this over with. I've been there. And then thoughts of my kids is what's kept me from making that decision,
Yeah.
At my little points, it was like, I'm done. It's life's over. And that little thought of them is really what's kept me from actually making that choice. Thank God.
Yeah.
And there's just yeah, it's challenging, and it's still today. I mean, there's still, and the difference is I don't have to feed into it. I don't have to, we went through, in relationship wise, we went through a lot of ups and downs, and I use that as almost an enabling to continue my addiction, and the sad part was, during her trying to hold on then, which surprises me with it shocks me with you and her, was my addiction. During my addiction, she lost herself. I caused her a bunch of confusion and who she was, and it was a damaging thing. And so for you to, you and your wife to, I guess, see through that it's amazing, man. You guys should count them blessings for sure. And my daughter's mom is actually a separate mother, and she's been wonderful. And there was times that she was like, nope, you're not allowed to see Emma. Nope, you're not allowed to do this. And actually there was one year I completely fell off, and I didn't get to see her for 12 months. And during that year, I was way out there, but my daughter had actually got sexually assaulted by one of the boyfriend that she was seeing, but she's in jail now, and she's going through court over that. And just these little broken pieces that have happened along the way have really, really brought us together, as parents, with both the kids' moms. And it's been difficult, but it's good. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that comes back to what you're saying about success sometimes is the outcome of a whole string of failures. We were talking with Curtis. He was on the podcast a few weeks ago,
Yeah.
but he kept referring to his backpack. He has this backpack that he carries around. It's a physical backpack, and he talks about having the rocks in it. It's like each bad thing that has happened is a rock that he has in his backpack, but ultimately what he's doing is learning to turn those rocks into gold. And it sounds like that's what you're doing with helping other people too. So it's amazing that you've been able to carry this backpack, this burden, but ultimately to turn it around and hand your gold pieces to other people. I think that that's beautiful.
And that's the end goal, because sometimes you feel like you're the only one going through it, and you're the only one that's been there, and it's just you're isolated, but you're really not. And the more you get into it, the more you learn. Like, there's a lot of people that are going through the same thing, whether or not they are ready to express that and deal with it. There's still a lot of people that are dealing with the same kind of situations, and your little bit of insight, whether it may mean nothing to you or seem like nothing to you, is really a crossing a mountain, for other people.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you brought that up, Mel, because I mean, seriously, it is. And what you're also saying, Jimmy, is that there are so many people being impacted by this. And, I didn't realize that the day my friend told me that you should start talking about this, where it was going to end up. Because when I did start sharing, I've done a lot of years of networking and have met a ton of people. And I was literally shocked where people were coming up to me at networking groups and going, "Hey, can I talk to you in private?" And we'd go off away from the crowd. And they're like, "I don't know if you knew, but I used to be an addict." I'd be like, "Huh?" Are you kidding me? I've known you for like 6 years. I had no clue. And it's everywhere we go. If we go to a restaurant, we're talking to a waitress or a waiter, it's happening. When we were in St. George, which is like 350 miles south of Salt Lake City here, we were doing a Healing Utah Success Summit in August, and we all went to dinner afterwards. And this guy comes up and taps me on the shoulder and he says, "Hey, do you got a minute to come outside and talk to me?" And I'm like, who the hell is this guy? Yeah, I knew he worked there because, and he brought out some oysters to our table and different things. And we go outside and everybody's looking like, what's this guy want with Al? And he's like, "Tell me a little bit about this crowd." And I'm like, "Oh, we just did this summit and it was all about addiction and everything." And I tell him this story and he goes, "Well, let me share a little bit about me." And he goes, "I used to make $1 million. I had tons of money, $2 million house in Park City, had all these cars, had an airplane." And he says, by the time it was all over with, I was sleeping in the back of a Jeep Cherokee, and I'm just going, oh my hell. And then Laban and I go to a restaurant the next day and our waitress, she's in recovery. I start talking to someone at the gym. Lo and behold, they're in recovery, or their husband or wife or their kid. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, it's
Pandemic.
everywhere,
It's the unspoken
everywhere.
pandemic.
Yeah. The unspoken pandemic. Yeah. Well put.
Yeah, that was really well put. It really
Yeah.
is.
Thank you.
I was
Sometimes I
reading
do
a thing
that.
about that the other day, that they were saying like every 2 months or every month we lose as many people in addiction as we did in 9/11. And
Yeah.
9/11 was it was a national pandemic, but we're doing that every single month with people overdosing and addiction. And and that's I think that stigma, like you said, Al, before, that thing, it sticks. It's a fine line. I've noticed with recovery, it is really fine line. There's people that can use recovery in the wrong way, and some that don't. They usually weed themselves out, but I think a lot of like society and stuff, they get bad. There's bad tastes that they get in their mouth with it sometimes, and I struggling with that even here with New Directions. It's almost a shunned upon thing at times. People don't want to take that leap. They don't want to make that risk of like, okay, yeah, let's get it into the community and let's do this, because they don't know. They don't, that fear of this could go bad. And it's definitely a lot of stigma to it.
Yeah. So is this going to be your main business? I mean, do you have your own business now, or is the Directions Recovery going to be your main thing once this thing gets going?
Yeah, this is going to be my main thing. And like I said, I up and left South Carolina and I come out here, and this is going to be the main thing. And it's been a process. It's been kind of discouraging at times, even because it's been, for a 501(c)(3) or 501(c)(3) to be formed, it's been, it's a 6-month process after you get it going and getting it approved. And so it's been stretched out here. And there's definitely discouraging. I've ran into roadblocks with the city, and you got to have this, you got to be in this certain zoning, and you got to have it's been shunned upon in a way, which I think is natural for society. I even, when the first place I went and looked at, the house that it's a big giant, 25 bedroom house. I went and looked at that, and I nicely went over to the neighbors in the area and I'd spoke to them, and they're like, "There's no way. Nope. I don't want any kind of addiction. I don't want, and it was like, all right." So I went and spoke to about 7 people, 7 different neighbors, and 5 out of them 7 were like, "There's no way. We won't vote it. We won't vote it in." So it's been challenging,
I bet.
Yeah. But
Yeah, my wife and I, we went to a subdivision protest.
Yeah.
We had a guest that came on our show, a couple guests, and they go and open up a lot of sober living homes. And they asked if we would come out and support. So my wife and I went out there, and it triggered my wife really bad. She's like, I got to leave. I'm going to go sit in the truck. She couldn't deal with it. And I mean, literally, it was like it was like watching the old Frankenstein movies. It's like people with torches and pitchforks and, and it's like, we're going to go hang them. And, and some of the crap that I heard people say, I got angry a couple times. I had to really pull back the reins and hold my temper back because some of the stuff that was being said, and I had to really stop and think. I could understand their fear, but I also, they didn't understand.
No.
And it was sober living. These are people who have gone through recovery and they're going into sober living and they're doing their best to get back on their feet. They have to hold jobs. They have to wake up and go to work and come home, and they have their curfews and they have their rules, and everyone in the house holds one another accountable. And it didn't matter what question they asked the owners. It didn't matter what answer he gave them. They still had mud to throw at his face.
Yeah.
And it was very hard to watch. And I was very grateful that the city mayor, I knew the city mayor because this is where I grew up and being involved with a lot of the stuff that I was involved with in the community. He asked if I'd get up and speak. And I just kind of let it all out.
Yeah.
And it was hard. I mean, it was really hard to hear some of the stuff they were saying because I was taking it personal. They're talking about my wife, and again, it's that stigma. It's that not understanding. And they even had a gentleman who lived right next to a sober living, just not too far from where this one was going to be opened up. And he got up and spoke. And people were like, well, how many times have the cops been called over there and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, or in your neighborhood, he goes, well, the cops have been called on in our neighborhood only once. And it wasn't from the sober living. It was from one of the other neighbors, a couple houses down. And he goes, I'll tell you what, I was just like you guys. I was here protesting. I didn't want it. And he goes, now I am so grateful that they're there, because if I'm out shoveling my sidewalk or driveway in the wintertime, they see me, they come over with their shovels and they help shovel, or raking up leaves. And they're the first ones. And sometimes he goes, I've come home and my garbage cans have been pulled up off the street and up by my garage, and it's them. They see it out there. And, I was working late and they just decided to help. He says, they are the most helpful people that you'll ever know. And I kind of made that remark about my wife having a hard time finding a job, and she's busting her butt to get clean and sober and start getting her life back on track. And I says this, I don't know if I said it the right way, but I did say it. I'm like, it's people like yourselves that I'm standing in front of talking to that won't give her that opportunity to get her life back together, And it's true. It's sad. And again, I have to be understandable because maybe they haven't lived through it. And some of them have kids, and who says, 3 or 4 or 5 years down the road, one of their kids don't become an addict, because it's very possible the way the world's going right now.
Yeah. And I think, to second that, I think a lot of the problem is like society has painted this picture of what an addict is.
Yeah.
They really have, and TV shows and this and that, and you think that they don't really understand the people protesting. They don't really understand, a lot of them, I would assume, don't understand really what it is. They just see this painted picture that they think that society has painted for them. They're like, no, we don't want that around. And even the city, when I had city meetings, they're more concerned with what if they fail.
Yeah.
What if your program and they fail, and now if you're accepting people from all over the place, now you have all these people that come here and failed, and you kick them out and they're out of the program, and now they're in our city with doing, and it's like, what if they don't,
Yeah.
They don't think of that. What if they don't fail? What if they succeed? They're so worried and focused on this negative of it, that they're overlooking what the possibility of it really is. And being an addict, trying to open it and do this in my same hometown that I was caused so much destruction. And people know that, like I said, my ex, she was, she's a teacher in the area and community. And when addiction and all that occurred, I was ran through the ringer by any and everybody. So for me to come back and doing this, that just adds to my plate. It's just like,
Oh yeah.
stigma's there, and it's like everybody's got their, no, this ain't gonna, but, and there's times it even like the fear of that is instilled in me, and I still think like, I still get them little doubts like, okay, maybe I'm making the wrong, choice. Maybe this is the wrong thing to do. And
I think it takes that fear to be successful.
Yeah. Yep.
If you're not doing something that scares you a little bit, you're not doing the right thing.
Yep. And I've made the most progress out of my comfort zone in recovery. I would have never continued in this recovery if I just stayed complacent and in my comfort zone. So when I got out of that, when I started making, progress, and it's the same with this new directions, and I'm looking forward to it. So.
I tip my hat off to you, Jimmy. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
What you're doing, Matt. I love and respect you, for doing this, because it's people like yourselves who are making a change in the world, and maybe it is going to be only, you said what, 70 or something? Didn't you say 70
Yep.
people?
70, yep. And to give you a little background on it real quick, it's 70 people. It'll be a long-term 4-month commitment. After 40 days, they'll get with a vocational director. The vocational director will set them up if they need their birth certificate. Because when I went, I didn't have any of that. I didn't know where any of it was. So they'll get you your birth certificate. They'll get you set up. We'll get you employment. We'll get you online and try to get you employment. We'll take you to and from. There's no phones the whole time. I just feel like that's a huge, just be able to just get away from that whole thing it was big for me. So there's no phones, and after your 4 months, you'll commence. And after commencement, we have some connections with a few individuals where we'll offer the transitional living, sober living for, however long they need to continue in this sobriety. So yeah, it'll be 70. Maybe as time goes on, I'd like to open up a female. It's going to be all male at first. Maybe next year or the year after, I could get into open up a female version of it, and go from there. And we're going to see where it goes. So
Yeah, I love it. Again, I believe there needs to be more facilities.
Yeah.
Like yours to help people, because there are quite a few of them out there that my wife wanted help. I mean, she went through 7-8 different recovery centers. A couple of them were the same ones, and me not knowing and having my head so far up my rear end and not understanding, after about the third time, I'm like, yeah, frickin', here's another one. Who gives a shit, and I basically told myself she's going to fail because she's done it 3 times. What I didn't do right was I didn't give her the credit that she kept trying, and I should have been giving her that credit. Because she never stopped trying, even though maybe it would have taken her 10, but at least she still kept trying, and again, I think that's kind of a mistake that a lot of us make on the other side. And having a facility that you can go to that doesn't cost the family money, you don't have to have insurance, and someone's going to open their arms and go, look, man, if you're serious about this, here we are. We're here to help you through every step. And what makes it even better is because you've lived it. You know what they're going through. So the games, the manipulation, because you were there, and you know exactly how hard it is for them. And to me, that's huge. I think that's what makes it so cool, even with the Other Side Academy, is pretty much everyone that's worked there. Now they used to be a 2-year commitment. Now they're a 2.5-year commitment. And a lot of them, they don't leave. They're all employees there now, and now they're out there. It's like Clay said when he was on the show, he's like, yeah, my new high is helping as many people get sober as possible. And I just thought that was cool. Even Dylan,
Saving lives is the new drug.
Saving lives is the new drug. Yeah. Dylan, whose show came out today, was kind of the same way. Yeah.
Yeah, something about that growth. When you see that little growth starting someone and and it actually is starting to take hold, it's higher than I've ever been on any drug, and it's not even me. And it's just like that, knowing that, and seeing it from start to finish. Even when I'm speaking from when I went through rehab and watching my friends that were with me in there, watching them, their whole demeanor changed, the way things were working, and just watching it grow. It was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
You know,
Is there, gosh, is there anything else that you want to share, that you want to get out there?
oh yeah, we could stay here for days.
Oh,
But no, man, I'm blessed to be here on your guys' show. I'm glad you guys had me. There's probably a million more things I could say and get into. And maybe we can save that for another day. Maybe we'll come back on after, another year from now and see where we're at.
yeah, that would be cool, because it's crazy. Because matter of fact, the gentleman we had on our show, just the 10:30 show here, this was the second time he's come on, and he talks more about nutrition and things like that. Another gal that's out of New Jersey, Amanda, she's reached out and she goes, "Hey brother, I'd love to come back and be on your show again." And I'm like, "Let's get you booked." So she's going to be on again this month. And I just had a person here this morning who was a guest, one of our, I think, probably first 12 or 13th guest. And she reached out and she goes, "Hey, I want to come back on and kind of share my journey." And she's been on the other side. Her husband's battled alcoholism. And so it's really cool that we're starting to get people who have been on the show, who have continued to follow us and stand behind us, say, "Man, I want to come back on and kind of share where things are at right now." And we would love to have you come back on, especially hear about your journey of opening up your recovery center. And because I'm sure, there's probably still a ton of challenges ahead of you, but just the challenges you've gone through already, Jimmy, and survived. And you're not listening to the outside talk, which too many times we fall into that.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's easy to, it's, trust me, it's not difficult, or it's not easy to not do that.
Yeah.
There's so much part of you as naturally, for me, like I want to fight with them and I want to argue my story, but I know now it's like, I don't have to do that. I don't have to. I spent so many times and years through addiction trying to argue with this person that I wasn't, and who I wasn't. And if I feel like if I have to argue that to them, then it's just, it's not even, they're not even worth the argument,
Yeah.
It's easier to look at it that way. And, I'm looking forward to the program here, and I'll definitely keep you guys updated on it. And we'll go from there. Maybe set something up for another year and go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, please do. We're building quite the family here. I mean, in all honesty, we really are. And I love every minute of it. I just get a kick out of it. I usually cannot wait to get in the studio on Thursdays. And we're hoping, as we continue to grow Resilience Talk Network, that we get it to a point to where we can kind of stop doing what we do during the day. And all we want to do is just spend time in this studio, and change people's lives. That's pretty much why Brad named the studio Resilience, because everyone that's done a podcast on here has been through some kind of hell in their life, and they've been able to work themselves through it. And we got a podcast that comes on right after this show, and my good friends Shane and Kat, they do a show about spirituality. It's not religion, it's about spirituality. And my gosh, some of their shows, they're just now getting posted, and they share some pretty good stuff, really good stuff.
Yeah, I'm a pretty big podcast fan, so I enjoy listening to it. You guys had a guest on just recently, actually. She had wrote a book, and I don't know why her name's drawing a blank to me.
She wrote a book. Was it Candace?
Candace. It was just, I believe it was maybe last week or the week before. It was just recent on there.
Gaina Lynn.
Yep.
Yeah. So there was Gaina Lynn.
Gaina Lynn. I really enjoyed that. That was a good one.
Yeah, I ran into her. So our local TV station, Channel 4, they've got a thing called Good Things Utah. And they're pretty good with supporting a lot of different things, and especially things that help the community. And we were there, my friend Mallory, Dave DeRocher from the Other Side Academy. We were all there to promote our our summit in St. George, this past August. And we were talking to her, we met her in the green room and we chatted a little bit, and then we got called to go out. And they were kind of doing some of the other shows before we got on, I went over and sat down and was talking to her, and I'm like, man, we got to get you on the show. Because she had such great information, and it's information that can help all of us. Yeah. And go ahead.
I like how she was able to, I think I struggle with for me, getting it into words to where it's understandable. Like I've got it all here and I could express it all, but it's mumbled and jumbled and all over. And she really did well with getting it into and understanding and being able to comprehend what was being said. I like that. And Mallory too, I've actually spoke to her a few times, and she's amazing. So I talked to her quite a bit, and
I'll be with her Saturday. So her and her husband and her two darling little girls, they're driving up today from St. George, and there's like this holiday expo thing in Tooele, which is west of here. She's coming up to have a booth there, and she reached out to me and she goes, hey, why don't you guys come out Saturday and I'll split my booth with you. And so, I'll be out there with her and her husband, Wes. And like I said, her little daughters are just as cute as can be. We love being around them. But, and her book, if you ever get a chance to read her book, I've not had a chance to read it yet. My wife just got done reading it a couple months ago, and she's like, oh my hell, that was a freaking kick-ass story. And, she tells her story of her journey and being sentenced to 20 something years in prison at age 19 because of her addiction. And she's a great gal. And anything we can do, Jimmy, on our end, anyone that we can hook you up with, if you'd love to talk, if you're interested in talking with Robin or Dave from the Other Side Academy to hear kind of how they do things. I know Dave travels around quite a bit, and he's looking at starting some other facilities up. They're doing amazing things here in the Salt Lake City Valley. They're getting ready now to look, they're calling it the Other Side Village, and they're bringing some pods in to help kind of home some of the homeless, get them off the street. And most of the homeless people are addicts. And so they've got a lot of cool things that's going on. So even like Candace, who's out of Canada, you may have people who go to your facility whose family members may not have a good direction to go, and they can call Candace up. She gives a free 30-minute call, where they can just talk to them. And if it's a fit for them, they help them kind of get through. And they also teach them how to work with their loved ones. Instead of enable them, they really work with them to say, hey, this is the best way to love your person that's going through the addiction, and support them in a positive way instead of a negative way, which the majority of us, we do it the negative way because we don't know any better.
Yeah.
So anything we can do to help you, buddy.
I appreciate that. And then any good connections like that, I'm more than open to. And it's going to be a journey. And maybe next time, like I said, I'll fly out there this time and get to see you guys and meet you in person. So.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, love to have you. Mel, is there anything else you want to throw out there?
No, just keep doing what you're doing. Don't let these struggles get in the way. I mean, you're going to get through these struggles, and there's going to be even more. So keep doing the right thing, helping others. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Is there one last thing, Jimmy, you want to share with our audience? Something that you feel could change their world, change their mind of how they look at things?
Oh, there's a million now. For me, what sits home for me, what really set in for me was, not letting your fears, because that was a big thing for me, and not letting them fears keep you from doing good, from making the right choices, from, and it's for me, it really stuck deep. I was just scared of the unknown, what people thought, all these opinions, all this, that, and I formed this mask over who I was, and I acted in front of it, and I lost my identity and who I was, trying to run from fears. So, if people can address that and, get to the root of it, that's a good start,
That's really good advice. And Mel, you touched base on it just a little bit ago. And I learned this quite a few years ago. If it's something that scares the living shit out of you, that's your sign to do it. It's not your sign not to. That is your sign to move forward, no matter.
If you're not scared, it's not the right thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it feels like you're about to take a step off the deep end, like you're jumping off a cliff, and just jump. That's all. Take that jump. As long as it's in the right direction, you'll land on your feet. So,
amen. Jimmy, thank you so much for your time, man. I'm so grateful that you reached out to me and we had this opportunity to do this show today. And Mel, thank you again for your time. And yeah, man, it's been such an honor to have you on the show. And please, let's stay in contact. And I'll shoot you over some information. I'll shoot you over some names and some phone numbers. And if you feel that you need to reach out to them, at least you have those people. Feel free to drop my name. Anything we can do to kind of help you get things moving and maybe put another feather in your cap of someone behind you that can help you in certain directions, man, we're happy to do it for you.
And I appreciate it, Al. And like I said, when I get up and running and I'm ready to go, if you guys, same thing, if you guys come across some people that are, no insurance and struggling, and, you can always send them my way. And I'll let you know when we're up and running. And, I was blessed to be here with you guys today. I appreciate you having me.
Cool. Thank you so much. All right, guys, man, there's another incredible show. I don't think I've said there hasn't been an incredible show yet, because they are all simply amazing. We just want to say thank you again to all our listeners, all our sponsors. Man, thank you for believing in what we're doing and helping us spread the word. And when you hear a show like what you've heard today, if you know someone that's struggling, man, we're just asking you, just share with one person. Ask one person, one of your friends, one of your family members to like and subscribe. Don't spam everyone, just one person, because you never know what that show, who it will help. Because we've said many times on this show, even if we just help one person, all the struggles we've gone through, it was worth it, because changing one life, that one life could change another life or two, and it just keeps building and building from there. So again, thank you to everyone. Thank you to Resilience Talk Network, and Brad and Mason. Thank you for being here today and taking over the show while Brad is out there working. So greatly appreciate your help. And guys, we just want to wish you all the best, and stay tuned, man. We got some other great guests that's coming on. And remember, addiction is giving up everything for one thing, and recovery is giving up one thing for everything. We're out.